Hello and welcome back to Podcasting is Praxis. You're once again hearing my voice because we are in Valentine's Day mode, so you just have to listen to the trio of us. It's me. Hi, I'm Rob. My pronouns are he and him.
I'm Alistair. My pronouns are he and him.
And I'm Jamie, and my pronouns are also he and him.
And that's it. We're recording on Valentine's Day, and that's because we love you, the listener, very much, and also because all our partners are collectively fed up with us. Anyway, I wanted to start off the podcast by letting you, the listener, and everybody out there know that you're safe. The UK is a safe place for you. You can go to bed at night, soundly asleep in your bed, knowing that the UK's Quick Reaction Alert Force is on 24/7 notice to protect us from Chinese communist spies and their balloons.
The balloon menace will be dealt with.
Just desperate to seem involved.
I think it's one of my favourite Bill Bailey bits where he's talking about Britain as being the kid behind the bully at school trying to beat you up for your lunch money, being like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are the Richard Hammond of countries, essentially. That is true. But yeah, Jamie, I do have...
Hopefully our near-fatal car crash is happening anytime soon.
Yeah, just skidding off the tracks, finally careening into Iceland or something. But Jamie, I have bad news for you, and maybe you should be a little bit worried because unfortunately I could only find a source in the Sun, so bear with me. But last weekend, Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said that Chinese balloons may have been spying on the UK already, but that he would have shot them down had they been spotted.
I mean,
wow,
shut the fuck up.
Great job they're doing.
Shut the fuck up, Ben Wallace. Are we like supposed to just assume China hasn't invented a satellite at this point? Is this what this is? Is this like old-timey parochial racism with their fucking like weather balloon technology because like the fucking printed circuit and the rocket are beyond them?
It is pretty fun to see this reaction to like, you know, supposed Chinese what are they, weather balloons or some shit?
It's just balloons. Maybe they stuck a GoPro on. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, but like you look at like the places that how many of these fucking things they're meant to have found, like 4 or something, and then like let's take a map of those 4 balloons and overlay that on a map which has every US base, army base across the globe. I wonder how much of a ratio there will be.
And also, like, never mind that the UK is still part of the Five Eyes Alliance and like gets access to US satellite data, which just like who gives a shit about a balloon in that case? I mean, like,
oh no, that's it, man. If the balloons are like perfectly sized and at exactly the right altitude, they block the satellite.
Oh,
that's what it is. They're just gonna like train these balloons to fly under the satellite with like a fucking rude message on the top of them. So whenever the CIA try to work out what's going on, like in fucking Kandahar province or some shit, they instead just like get a crude pencil drawing of someone flipping them the bird.
I am absolutely retraining to become a balloon tamer. That would just be an amazing career.
This is just the stupidest fucking shit ever, and it's gonna end with like the government giving fucking some guy Matt Hancock like met in a pub toilet £11 billion to convert Milton Keynes so that when like an alarm sounds, it like hides under the pavement like fucking Stingray.
That'd be amazing. Like somebody gets like a giant defense contract to essentially make like a really big duvet that Milton Keynes can pull over itself to pretend it isn't there.
Oh, yeah. You know, I feel like I had a fever dream about this because I swear to God, I don't know if it's real or like I say if I dreamt it. But I swear to God, some like US official said we cannot allow a balloon gap, and like it's just sent me reeling for like the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, next kids party I attend, I'm essentially like I essentially have nuclear missiles at my command.
Actually,
every fucking kids party is going to be like that bit in The Mask where he turns a balloon into a Tommy gun.
You remember that insane Tahir Insat like earthquake bed?
Oh yeah, the underground the tomb machine.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. It detects a vibration, then instantly entombs you. so that you can fucking starve to death while emergency services try to figure out how to pry the lid off. But just that.
Should we
but
make
for, like,
one for
Kent.
the UK?
Yeah.
Exactly. Although
Just a fucking lid that put a lid on the fucking country.
Well, I mean, that might be better than what we currently have, because fantastically, I briefly mentioned at the top that the UK has the Quick Reaction Alert Force, which, so far as I could work out, is one typhoon on the tarmac in Lincolnshire and one in Lossiemouth in Scotland. So that would do
but
that.
also, somewhere on an island, there's a fucking swimming pool that slides out of the way to reveal a rocket.
Also, I want to say the fucking acronym game here is dog shit. The UK's CRAF? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. Surely you could have thought of something better, some kind of better backronym than CRAF.
Yeah, I mean, but it might not be as easy as you think, because like
Crumph.
It's back, baby.
A sumptuous Crump reaction force. But like it might not be as easy as it seems, because apparently the reason you use balloons rather than planes or something is they go too slow and they're too small for like military radars to pick them up. So if you do pick them up, but like, or you have like a vague idea, this is
okay. But again, satellites exist.
But this is it gets better, because this is from the Times. Depending on where the threat was coming from, the RAF might once have dispatched an E3 Sentry aircraft to identify the threat from hundreds of miles away. However, the surveillance planes have been retired and sold to the Chilean Air Force. So we can all congratulate Chile on being safe from the Chinese balloon menace.
I just know that if we did have to scramble the single plane that makes up the CRAF, that it would just somehow be even more embarrassing than that one fucking American jet that managed to miss one of the $400,000 Sidewinder missiles that it fired at one of these balloons.
Yeah, how do you miss firing at a balloon? Surely, like that's like I've done that. I think at like a carnival or something. The fucking missile's designed to like bring down stealth fighters or some shit. It's clearly like fucking overkill for a balloon. Well,
wait until the Americans find out about paper aeroplanes. Like they're going to lose their fucking minds.
But apparently the Chinese are not just in the skies in dastardly balloons. They are essentially like everywhere. This is from a BBC article quoting the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, some MP or other. The Chinese Communist Party is in our skies, on our streets, and in our pockets. It's time that everybody woke up to the threat that they don't play by the rules. So you don't have to worry about like Russians.
They don't
under
play
the bed
by
anymore.
the rules. Okay, but yeah, we don't have any intelligence services.
No, and also we love playing by the rules. That's why we went into Iraq.
Mm-hmm. It's called an international rules-based order because we love to play by them.
Yeah.
Who sets the rules again? Oh wait, no. Let's not worry about that thing too much.
This is just like fucking. Remember when there was that takeaway in Glasgow that was apparently like the fucking like world nexus for all Chinese Communist Party activities or some bullshit.
Oh yeah.
And like racists turned up and started harassing them.
Well, if you
David walked into a fucking kebab shop or something.
Yeah, well, or apparently ordering number 65 is like secret code for release the balloons or something.
Oh, fuck knows.
Yeah. Anyway, so, but I just want all our listeners to know that they can sleep soundly in their beds, at least from Chinese water balloons, and also from something else that has just come across.
Water balloons. That's why it rains so much in Britain. It's the nefarious Chinese water balloons.
Yeah, it's the new form of Chinese water torture, but just way more advanced and like, you know.
Yeah, they've loaded enormous water balloons into their railguns and they're just firing down upon us.
Oh,
but in further like rare days of good news for the UK, I have another good update for you. Easter's been saved because the man who stole 200,000 Cadbury cream eggs has been convicted.
Free him.
Free him at once. The article on the BBC
Do you know what's completely insane about this?
Many things.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the worst thing for me is I was about to go, are you sure you mean convicted and not arrested? But then I had deja vu, like as if there's a possibility on Earth that we've had this conversation before. My brain can just fuck off with that. Like, quite frankly, I'm not falling for it.
I mean, it could have had this before. It's very well possible. We have been doing this for like more than 2 years, and the UK is that kind of country. So Joby Poole was surrounded by a mountain of foil-wrapped chocolate when the police caught up with him this weekend. What a king.
I would laugh if it was just the foil and not the chocolate.
Yeah.
Apparently he used a stolen lorry with false plates to like essentially snatch a trailer containing the eggs from an industrial unit where the things were made.
I'm not hearing a crime here. Sounds like you're victimless to me.
Yeah, but
I like a cream egg as much as the next person, but I couldn't give a fuck if this guy jacked Cadbury's for 200,000 like eggs or whatever. Fuck him.
But I mean, apparently, like the street value of 200,000 Cadbury eggs.
Street value. They've got have they got the fucking drug squad in because there's like tin foil involved, so they're gonna like.
I mean,
like
the street
stupid street price on them.
This is one of the few rare cases where the street value thing can actually be fucking checked against the consumer price index, though. So when the police say that the street value of the recovered eggs was $18 million, we can at least check that.
Now, apparently, 200,000 Cadbury eggs is worth £31,000.
Time to find out how much a Cadbury's cream egg is worth.
Let me get my calculator.
All right, everybody, get your pod calculator out.
Going on to Tesco.com, Cadbury cream egg.
31,000.
This is like All the President's Men, but infinitely stupider.
All right, so
40p each.
40p.
40p.
40p each.
Apparently, okay. So if you divide 31,000 by 200,000, it's 15p. Like, I don't know, street value. I guess.
It's unlike the cops that undervalue the street value.
Yeah, 200,000 times 40 is 8 million. So.
Yeah, but p, right?
Like 8 million. Yeah, 8 million p. But like,
so
what's that in real money?
Quid.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but
it's still if more than what did they say? 31 grand.
Yeah, 31 grand, which works out to 50p an egg. So maybe that's like maybe the Tesco cut on a Cadbury cream egg is 25p.
That's fucking ridiculous, quite frankly.
Unbelievable what they've done to the street values of these fucking eggs.
Yeah, what's the street value of a Freddo?
It's been years since you've been able to get one. Like,
yeah, like you just have to wait for a guy walking around with a fucking like raincoat to open it up so you can buy them nefariously.
But yeah, definitely. He should be freed because he's a fucking king. And maybe he was like a sort of Cadbury cream egg Robin Hood. He was about to drive off and give the cream eggs to the people who need them the most.
I'm assuming that's what he was going to do, so that's why he must be freed.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, he didn't kill anyone. He just stole a trailer. So,
and he has
we should be encouraging that kind of crime, as opposed to like just machine gunning like people in a cartel egg deal or whatever. Fucking street value, man. The police need to get like better jobs, hobbies, anything. That isn't just like fucking. Do you know what I mean? Did they pose with the eggs?
I don't know. I can imagine that they did. Yes.
Oh man, no! The picture of the fucking table with all the cream eggs, like a gun, an AK-47, a machete, some scales, like a couple £50 notes.
A gun, but it's like a fucking pricing gun from the supermarket. But like a fucking antique one that puts the little stickers on rather than the barcode scanner thing.
Anyway, you remember from earlier the last summer when we talked about the water companies and all the beaches were essentially full of shit and piss and it was bad.
Yeah.
And then like the water companies said they were going to do a lot better. Like they were promising to clean up their act and become model citizens, etc. This from an actual.
Did that turn out to be a lie?
Well, it's not actually a lie so much.
Imagine such a thing.
You really think a water company would just go on the internet and tell lies?
I don't think so. I think that's besmirching the fine reputation of UK's water companies. I think you should apologise, on air right now before,
I don't. I think you should libel the moist pricks even more.
Sounds like I've split the room somewhat.
I hear the head of Thames Water
is a lovely individual.
Yeah, I've heard the same. That's probably true, actually. It's really nice when David's not on.
Glad we cleared that up.
Anyway, so currently, because of all the shit shenanigans, the government is trying to work out what it's going to do about it, and the answer is obviously not nationalization.
Nothing.
So
no, fuck all.
The water companies are now telling the government, look, you can't make us pay money to fix the problem, because then we would have to tack that money onto consumers. No. They would have to tax that money straight onto your bills. And because there's inflation going on and people having problems with the cost of living, we can't fix the water because of your cost of living problem.
I'm just going to Google what Thames Water profits 2022 were. £400 million profit in the last 6 months.
I mean,
December.
I should be precise. This was Northumbria Water, which was the one with the second largest number of users of storm overflows. If you remember, that's the thing where they say, "Oh, we've had a big rain, so we just opened the sluices to let all the shit run into everything."
Right. Well, I've got news for Northumbrian Water, and I'm going to find that little cunt Dwayne pipe that they put on the side of their vans, and I'm going to batter the prick.
So basically, because you, the listener, may have budget problems or in a cost of living crisis, they can't fix the pipes or the infrastructure because they're doing this for you.
All right. Well, they'll not mind. They'll not mind if I tell everyone they should
have the good grace to accept this.
No, I don't think they should be able to mind, because that just sounds like a humane action.
Yeah.
Anyway, for reasons unrelated, last year in March, Northumbrian Water paid £55 million in dividends, and I think, totting up some numbers earlier, among others from thisismoney.co.uk, they've probably paid out over $2 billion in dividends to its Hong Kong-based owners. So it's fine, but you just have to pay up. That's important.
I mean, this is example 11 billion of the reasons why privatization was never ever going to deliver on any of the shit that it was intended. Well, I say intended, told to the public that it was going to deliver. In the fucking 80s and 90s and all that shit. Because there is no money in maintaining any infrastructure ever. The pipes are down. No. Those are now there forever, and we will never fix anything because that would either harm profits or we would have to increase the prices that our customers pay, even though they fucking do that anyway. Regardless of whether it's a water company, energy company, whatever, they're just going to put prices up anyway because it's more money for them, and fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean,
but don't worry though, I'm sure the government can give £12 billion to some guy that Matt Hancock bought a shed off once, and he can just fix it so that all the beaches have a giant windscreen wiper on them that just goes off once a day and pushes all the shit into the sea.
I think that is going to be some
kind of fucking start-up.
The Wessex Water,
robot dogs that do reverse shits on the beach. There you go.
Yeah. Algae. The solution in these things is always algae, isn't it?
I don't know. Some kind of Chinese weather balloon that fucking drops a special chemical on the beach that dissolves feg.
Is that material a nuclear warhead by any chance?
We can hope.
Hope that's spring eternal.
Once again, this podcast is begging for President Xi to come save us.
President Xi, destroy the hated Skegness.
Wessex Water, though, had a different problem with this whole plan of not having so much shit on the beach. This is again from that piece in the Times. Wessex Water complained that the plan's name, the Storm Flows Overflow Discharge Reduction Plan, was not positive enough and asked for it to be renamed as the Storm Overflow Improvement Plan.
I'm sorry, guys, but can we just address the fact that the vibes are fucked with this policy?
Well, pretty much. It said the current plan title is very negative. There's enough negativity surrounding this topic and river water quality in general.
Was the fucking Wessex Water guy wearing a fucking hot dog outfit when he was delivering this?
I can only imagine that's what the fuck was going on, because it is. But that worry though.
It's a fucking Oscar Mayer like van that he's gotten out with, but instead of a hot dog, it's just a shit in between the bun.
Just wearing like a hose on the top of his head that just constantly spews sewer on top of whoever he's meeting.
Oh, I fucking hate everyone with even like the tiniest hint of power or importance in this country, and probably every other country as well. And I'll feel much happier, and I suspect everyone else will as well, when the streets run red with
a lovely jam.
But don't worry though, like Severn Trent Water on the other hand is very optimistic. They think that ending some spills could be possible by 2040. So they think they should.
They think by 2040 they'll have invented the technology to stop leaks and spills. Incredible.
And by
some spills, let's be fair.
Yeah, because 2050 is the earliest they think they can fix all the spills. So, it's we have to give these things time, Like, the free market just hasn't been tried enough, I think, in water. So we don't know what happens if we do it properly. On the other hand, Labour has very ambitious goals. Angela Rayner was interviewed a few days ago on Good Morning Britain and said, we need to do something. And when asked about renationalisation, said, it's about enforcement of laws that don't work.
People crowding round the corner to hear this rallying cry of "it's about enforcement" from the Labour deputy leader.
Powerful placards up saying, "We need to do something." Many people at the centrist rally, etc., etc. And if you were wondering what about the enforcement, well, apparently the head of the Environment Agency is currently arguing against raising the cap on fines on water companies to 250 million. He doesn't think they need to be able to charge water companies that much. Apparently the current cap, which is fucking incredible, I didn't know that, is £250,000 per incident or something like that. So it's, these people could have two serious incidents a week and then still make money at the end of the year.
Are you telling me, is this 250,000 per incident?
I think it's per incident, yeah.
Fuck me. That's pennies. That's
absolute pennies, yeah.
Fucking my expectations are not high. They are not.
No.
Like 250 grand for companies, fucking Thames Water, like I said, over 6 months last year, £400 million in profit.
Yeah.
Like, just beyond any sort of level of, capitalism is a flawed system that just needs the proper, regulation and enforcement to truly rein in, these rogue businesses that run all the water infrastructure. No, this is not even in the same realm as resolving any of the fucking problems that these private institutions have, through pure negligence and criminality, instituted themselves. We're just going to do nothing because we are charging pennies per fucking horrendous instance of pumping literal dog shit into the oceans and beaches.
And also, you could just put a price on this stuff now, right? Like the price of destroying a pristine piece of beach, the people enjoying it, the biodiversity there, the views, all that stuff is, I don't know, that's like $1 million, maybe a couple million to just destroy a part of the coastline for years. That's fucking cheap, man. Like we should just, why don't you just get people to put up money so they can just go seal clubbing or something? You might as fucking well.
Why don't we just scramble the fucking plane that's meant to be looking out for these fucking weather balloons to shoot these fucking pipes so they can't spew out poison into the oceans anymore?
I mean,
Like,
it gets
with friends like fucking Thames Water and Northumbria Water, who needs fucking China, right?
Well, it gets even weirder, Alistair, because perennial shitheel and previous contestant on our Year Awards, Therese Coffrey, who's now in charge of DEFRA, she thinks that raising the cap on fines from like 250k to 250 million would be too high. And the reason why she doesn't want to do that is because she's very worried that the threat of effective fines would scare investors away from lending money to the water companies to do the necessary investments.
But they're not going to do that anyway. They're not going to do those fucking upgrades, no matter how many fucking dinners you sit down with them where they say, oh yes, absolutely, is our top priority fixing XYZ problem in this fucking country, which, you know, just stacking one upon another just within the fucking water sector.
I just think about the fucking insanity of just like the capitalist mechanism that says, right, we can't fix the thing. Why? Well, we have no money. Where's the money? Oh, we gave it all to like dividends to weird offshore shell companies. All right, so we need to borrow more money to get it. Right, I'm not going to loan you the money. Well, why not? Because I'm scared you'll get a fine and that's my money gone. And that's why Britain can't have a water system. This is... How the
It is so good though, because it's
what?
considered like sensible and normal to just give away billions of pounds in dividends, but to actually be penalised for breaking the fucking law, like in truly like outrageous ways, like destroying
spectacular
miles and miles
out in
of
the
coastline.
open, yeah, where everybody can see it. Like, you know, it's not like a well-hidden crime or something, or like a victim's
it's like
crime.
children literally wade, like, I was going to say wading in an exaggerated way, but like literally wading through shit on beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally wading through shit on beaches is like, no, that's fine. We can't penalise you for that. That's that if we were to fine you, that would be money going to the bad place, the government, rather than the good place, which is Hong Kong.
Yeah, apparently, or like a number of shell companies based out of the British Virgin Islands or wherever the hell. But I think, you know, let's not give Angela Rayner too hard a time. She's been really busy the last few days uncovering, one could even say, the most important and yet incomprehensively boring ass scandal of all time.
Oh, is this that like fucking someone in government spent 50p on paper clips when she could find them for 47?
Before we dive into this, can we just also recall that, I'm not sure if it was the same interview, but within the last day or two, Angela Rayner has gone on record as saying that we should be putting tags on refugees.
Yes,
which is
she did.
Fucking awesome. Something that would have been considered beyond the pale, far right, like extremism 25 years ago is being agreed with by the Deputy Labour leader in 2023. Fucking
also
great work, everybody. Thanks, Luke Akehurst. Well done.
And momentum, might I fucking add, who pushed her for Labour vice leader or whatever the fuck she is. Vice something or other.
And the fucking hilarious thing is that they're still trying to fucking boot her out and knife her in the back at the same time. The fucking psychos on the Labour right really, really do like have a hammer, and everyone to the left of Gordon Brown looks like a fucking nail.
I mean, I think this is partly like the sort of stupid 3D chess these people play. Is like that's why she was pushed out in front to like front this thing to like the morning programs in the paper, so they could all go, hang on a moment, didn't you buy an AirPod once? To buy it, you know, not even eat it like a good person.
Who was that? Which fucking journalist was it that ate the fucking AirPod?
Was it Allsop?
It was Allsop.
Oh,
yeah, it was Allsop. Yeah. In between times of telling her about her poor upbringing as a fucking son of a titled lord. But yeah, I mean, I assume, by the way, that both of you, much like me, got very hyped when Labour press office put out that countdown clock with the dead tree on it. And I was like, there's a serious scandal coming.
I've never given less of a fuck about anything in my entire life, I think.
Like
it really looked like they wanted to like put out like a smoking gun picture with like a timer underneath it. Like, we've really got them this time, boys.
apparently, like, I have some small examples here. It's just like, apparently we spent £24,000 on wine at UK embassies, and it's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's an embassy. They do receptions and stuff. Like,
Who gives a fuck though? Like, who honestly gives a fuck about wine at embassies or like fucking USB cables or what? They weren't buying the best value for money USB cables they could get. Wow.
yeah,
Great. They gave Matt Hancock's like friend from school like £2,000 trillion to just spunk up a wall somewhere and try and write his name with it. You know what I mean?
This is my theory about this, right? Is why they're going after this incredibly small potato shit and not like the.
Is it because when they get into government, they want to be able to give like people they met in the pub like millions and millions of pounds to do fuck all?
Yes, because I think like maybe not as directly, but like you can see.
It's been 20 odd years. Maybe the technology has finally advanced enough that we can finally get that internet time zone Tony wanted. How will we know unless we give someone that like fucking went to the right school with the right person infinite £1,000,000 to fucking try?
Well, I mean, it's like, I mean, apart from like the blatant corruption, which I'm sure some of them look forward to indulging in, it's just like, well, if we say that like these big deals are the problem and that there's massive waste in buying a PPP kit during Corona and stuff, then it's like maybe people start asking some money, like some questions about government procurement and why it's such a good idea to work with the private sector, as they're also fucking keen on. And my other thing is, and I think this is the other thing, is obviously the Labour Party thinks you're a bunch of fucking rubes and you're too stupid to understand the corruption inherent in Matt Landlord's, I don't know, dog shaver getting 750.
I think that was the guy's actual name as well. Matt Hancock gave his friend Matt Landlord a bunch of money.
My son is also called Matt Landlord.
Oh, I can't be asked to retake that. Let's leave that in. But like the other thing is obviously they think that you're like too stupid to grasp the concept behind like a couple of shell companies and shit being delivered that doesn't work. Whereas like they think that being a Daily Mail reader and also stupid, but I say the same things twice, is that you will grasp and get angry over like buying paper clips or like the most baffling thing that I thought was like Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister still, spent money staying in a nice hotel, and it's like, yeah, like even in the realm of.
But did he though get like in peak value for money come away with an anecdote he could tell everyone about how the rooms had been booked wrong?
Oh, those are priceless, Jamie. You can't put a price on a good anecdote about.
I mean, if they want to have a go at Rishi Sunak, they should have a go at him for like fucking, do you know what I mean? Putting on a fighter helmet and like twatting around the place as if him and that fucking gonk from Ukraine were gonna.
Oh, Zelensky, yeah.
Yeah, as if they were going to get in a fucking couple of fighters and do Independence Day.
Oh, is everyone looking forward to the minute silence we're all going to be doing at some point for the invasion of Ukraine?
What?
Are we? What? Have you made that up, or is that a thing now?
No, this is not a joke. This is like the ultimate outcome. I think. Well, as far as I know, last I read, the ultimate outcome of Zelensky saying, "Can I please have some fighter jets?" is Rishi Sunak's come back and gone, "No, but I can do you one better. You get a minute's silence on the 24th of February."
It's a reverse clap.
Sake.
It's reverse clapping. That's incredible.
We'll get a fucking tornado. I don't know what the fucking planes are called, an F-22 or whatever, to do donuts above Poland for you.
After which it promptly falls out of the sky, but yeah,
falls in behind Russian borders and inadvertently starts World War III.
But I mean,
that would be fucking perfect, to be honest. Just a completely vacuous display of like, I don't even.
British
I was going to say solidarity, but it's not even solidarity. It's just like,
dick waving,
grandstanding dick waving, resulting in like the annihilation of all human life.
Speaking by the way, that fucking... did you see that? Because, like, it was... I want to say it was last week's PMQ, but it was somewhere that, like, Sunak and Starmer just spent the whole time jacking each other off, saying how much they agreed that, like, we should be sending Vladimir Putin to The Hague for crimes. And I'm like...
yeah.
How...
I mean, I heard about it. I didn't fucking watch it. Because
I mean, I try to stay the fuck away from Ukraine.
The fuck am I supposed to be on a politics podcast or something? I'm not watching fucking PMQs. You can't make me.
Even I have stopped doing that. I can't do that for the podcast anymore. It's too terrible. But yeah, like I try to stay away from like Ukraine chat because it's just fundamentally, just difficult and mainly very boring and just repetitive, and there are no good guys in there, etc., etc. But it's like, if you want this conflict to end at some point, right? And it's not going to end with the overthrow of the Russian government because they have like a lot of nuclear missiles, like a lot of them. Like, what the fuck? How is this going to help anybody if, like, one of the 4 countries that's like arming the Ukraine to the teeth, saying, "Yeah, we're not going to stop until like Vladimir Putin and like half his staff are in jail." Like, this fucking dick waving with this Zelensky guy is just
Look, Rob,
wild.
Invasions of Russia have always gone famously very well. So I can only assume that they're going to have Vlad himself clapped in irons by no later than like November 28th.
That might be a little bit earlier. I think like if we time it properly, we should be able to get started in the fall or something, and then by like March of 2024, we should be able to clear that thing right up. Because
we just need to get through the famously very mild Russian winter.
Exactly. So before we move into the main topic, and speaking of winter, I wanted to briefly talk about perennial favorite, and now Jamie, it's one of your favorite things. I wanted to talk a little bit about energy again, about gas prices and stuff, because the Treasury.
What is it this time?
The energy cap is going up from £2,500 to £3,000 because the Treasury doesn't feel like paying for households anymore.
Right. Well, the entire Treasury can meet me in Tesco car park, and I'll fucking
patiently explain why I disagree with them.
And then we'll see how they feel about the energy cap.
Yeah, HM Treasury, please DM Jamie to...
Yeah.
You have to DM his alt, though.
To schedule his
Yeah, you will have to DM my alt.
And no, we're
Good
not
luck.
telling you what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, like the government, the Treasury, and Jeremy Hunt in particular are they're guessing, they're gambling that like the massive spike in gas prices is over, that it's going to come down, and then it's going to stay there for next year. Because if it doesn't, then it's going to be a massive fucking problem. It's still going to be a massive fucking problem because as of end April, you're probably looking at like a 40-ish% increase in your energy bills because the energy price cap and the tax credit come to an end at the same time. And so they don't want to give it to everybody anymore because universal things are bad. But, apparently some targeted help will be on the way for the poorest in society. Well, I can't,
Mm-hmm.
The
only targeted help we need with energy bills is a fucking
non-violent protest
outside British Gas's office.
So, like,
first they came for the water company industrialists, and I said nothing. Then they came for the energy sector industrialists, and I said nothing.
I didn't say nothing. No, I said this is fucking incredible. Thank you.
Then they came for the House of Lords, and I was off having a nap. Anyway, so like you might think that this kind of thing, like about next winter, and what with energy prices being so unstable, and the era of the international
they're not fucking
liberal
unstable.
order,
They're consistently going up. There's nothing unstable about it. Like, you could set your watch by how much fucking money I'm being gouged for.
Well, I mean, it's getting even more incredible because you remember when we did the episode about energy storage, that one of the big things that the UK
How could I forget?
Is they sold the biggest like offshore gas storage, a field called Rough off the coast of Yorkshire. They sold it to Centrica, and then Centrica closed it because they were like, yeah, we can't be asked with maintenance and doing basic shit. So now Centrica, of course, has realized they have the government completely over a barrel. And they say, well, in order to reopen this facility, and like by reopen, they mean make it work at 40% capacity, they will need from the government minimum revenue guarantees. And otherwise, they will simply not reopen the field. It's fucking incredible. Like,
I mean, they're not wrong. If you're a fucking private company, why wouldn't you just say?
Wrong. They're right. If you're an immoral cunt with a shell company in the Bahamas, like, why not do this? Like, this is capitalism's function. Congratulations, we got what we wanted all along. The country, Jesus fucking Christ. Still, though, good time for the energy companies, though, because BP had its highest earnings in its 114-year history, making £28 billion worth of profit, not to be outdone by Shell, who made £40 billion last year. And that's why, if you hear about it, that's why Labour keeps whinging about, like, a windfall tax. Not because they actually want to tax these people properly, but because they want some crumbs off the table. Like, that's what it is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when an institution or a person is bringing in like record profits year on year, what you want to do is you want to give them one big one-off tax, and that will solve the problem indefinitely.
Forever. Well, especially because if you want to use that tax to pay for like new nurses and doctors and fixing the NHS, I assume you only have to pay nurses once. I think that's how it works, right?
No, what you use that windfall for is like paying these cunts to open their oil fucking storage thing again or whatever.
Yeah, not unlikely.
Got to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
And if you're asking yourself, how will the private oil companies who've made more money than God repay the world now that they have so richly filled their own coffers? This from the Financial Times. BP, which said 3 years ago that it would cut its oil and gas production by 40% by 2030 in response to climate change, has instead reversed course and will now only cut by 25% because there is more demand for today's energy systems, i.e. we are making too much money right now and we can't be asked to save the planet.
Seems legit.
Shell,
we do love the profit motive, don't we?
I mean, it's going to solve everything, Alistair. Look, they just need the energy companies. BP needs the right incentives, and then they'll get right on it. I mean, I say that with a little caveat. Let me give. Well, this is the new CEO of Shell, a guy called Wow Sawan. I don't know how to pronounce that properly. And quite frankly, with this guy, I don't give a shit. When asked if he would accept low returns, but like permanent returns on wind and solar, stuff that you build once and then are just like infinity free money, rather than like the higher returns you get now, but the ones that also kill the planet, like oil and gas. This is his quote. I think on low carbon, let me be categorical. We will drive for strong returns in any business we go into. We cannot justify going in for a low return. Our shareholders deserve a see it go after strong returns. If we cannot achieve double-digit growth, we need to question very hard whether or not we should be in that business. Absolutely, we want to be going for lower and lower and lower carbon, but it has to be profitable. So if the rate of profit on oil and gas is higher than that of renewable, they'll just continue drilling the earth to bits and just like emitting everything possible. Because, the shareholders.
Which really, if anyone with two fucking brain cells to rub together would have told you is completely obvious.
Yeah.
Like, why would they ever do? Why would they do anything off their own backs? Like, why would they do anything that would diminish their fucking their profits rather?
But I mean, even wilder,
childish magical thinking to think that they would do anything otherwise.
Well, I mean, even wilder if you think about it. Like, so if we said to them, right, we will give you, I don't know, an infinity of a lot of money that's like higher returns than oil and gas. Will you please build us some wind farms and stuff? And they'd probably say yes, but then like, why do we have to pay these cunts then infinity money for renewable assets that like, I'm sure we have to like maintain a wind turbine and, occasionally spit polish like a solar panel. Like, I'm sure that's, it's not entirely free money, but like, I can't imagine it costs as much as, I don't know, keeping up on an oil platform in the North Sea. Like, how does how does any of this work in a civilized society or in any kind of sustainable society? Like, why do we pay these people? It's just fucking wild to me. Like, it really is.
It sounds to me, Rob, like you don't believe in the heart of the free market.
I don't know, man. It seems bad, if I'm honest. Like, seems pretty bad. Like, I'm not, this stuff doesn't really convince me. Anyway, having done all that, shall we move into the main topic? Unless,
Sure.
So, the thing I wanted to talk about tonight is, like, because I've been thinking about this a little bit, is, like, about the Conservative Party in general. Because, like, I don't know, it's not new observation to say, like, they're pretty clapped out at the moment. Like, I sometimes wonder when you look at everything that's going on, it's like, are they actually still in government? What do they want at the moment? And presumably, if the polling keeps up, and yes, polling is a bunch of nonsense, and we haven't seen an election campaign and all the caveats in place, but like, it does look like they're gonna have like a massive fuck off. They're gonna collapse at the next election if it were held tomorrow. So, what I've been thinking about a little bit is like, where the fuck do these people go? What do they want now, and where the fuck are they gonna go? Presumably, when they hit the skids in real time. So apparently, the big plan at the moment, and I'm sure I'm the only one that remembers this, that Sunak said there were 5 promises that we should hold him to account on: halving inflation, growing the economy, reducing debt, cutting waiting lists, and stopping the small boats. Very, very reasonable.
Go fuck yourself.
I mean, those are all pretty. I mean, some of those less stupid than others, but then one of those is wildly not like the others.
And also, like, halving inflation, growing the economy, and reducing debt is not like, again, the government. He doesn't have a lever on his desk. He doesn't have the inflation button on his desk. We gave that away to the Bank of England. And growing the economy, also not a button you can press. Thereby reducing debt, also not a button. And it's like cutting NHS waiting lists. It's like, you're not going to fund the fucking thing, are you?
I mean, these are all ideologically anathema to the Conservative Party in pretty much every way that it has existed, with the exception of the last one, which is just a nice little add-on that they've been able to dip their toes into now that they have continued to push themselves as far right as they now are.
Exactly, and probably are willing to go further. Witness what happened with the fucking fash riots we had last week. But so as far as I can tell, the current government, like the Sunak Tory government's role, or as it sees itself, is to just like kind of hide out.
It's last day of term mode, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're
so
hiding
last day of term. We're sick of it. We're all sick of being here. We're going to leave at 12:30. So they've just wheeled out a DVD, not even a DVD player, like a VHS player, and they've stuck Shrek on.
Yeah, and they've stuck Jamie in front of it, next to the fire alarm button again, saying, "Please, can you make sure that people don't pull it?" But yeah, I think that so far as like all the many crises that are hitting the UK is like they've just pulled the duvet over their heads and just kind of hope that like some positive events will just clear up all the other events.
Whenever we talk about the crises that have just from clear blue sky have emerged and been inflicted upon us. I always think of the great tweeter Flying Rodent, who tells us very, to the point that the crisis is the Conservative Party. Like, this is what they do. Like, they don't. At no point have they ever been really a force for what is good for Britain. They have always been a force for what is good for them and their class. Because, well, as we all know, like, it is class war. It is always class war, and they are going to try and do their best to make sure that their class wins.
Yeah, I mean, and may I say, bravo on a very successful performance the last 10 years. So yeah, like basically
that's fucking 40 years.
Yeah, sorry, I do apologise. I almost thought that Toady wasn't a fucking Tory. So like if they're But so either they're hiding under the duvet waiting for things to pass over, or they're just like trying to make more things illegal, with like the minimum service bill or all the other shit they've been doing, and like trying to leave the ECHR and all that, like trying to gut everybody's human rights so they can finally just like gun down small boats in the channel as they really, really want to do. And it's just like, and then the amazing thing, because I remember that from a couple of episodes ago, was that the army said, yeah, you keep saying you want us to do more, but actually you haven't been paying us either, which is just wild. I think the English are the only people capable of saying, actually, we're also going to defund the people with the guns who at the end of the day keep us in charge.
Which demonstrates a degree of ideological discipline, which I find, in an objective sense, quite impressive.
Very powerful. Like, yeah. But like this, so if they're not doing anything, they don't seem to want to do anything. Labour's about 70 billion points ahead. Like, how are the vibes? Like, what are they feeling like? And my current theory is like if you look at the Conservative Party as a whole at the moment, right? There's roughly three components with. I mean, they all overlap, but I think there are like three main components to it. There's essentially like Team City Finance, the Culture War Psycho Team, and the Free Market Lunatics. I think that's like sort of a distinct three, all of whom sort of exist in the same party together, but if they want to fully get their own way, the other two have to like lose, essentially. So basically, the City Finance crowd is the Rishi Sunak crowd. They're the people that come from the City of London. They are the big money people, and they just want to make sure that Britain's role as the world capital of legal and illegal finance continues just fine, and that there's like enough state capacity to fulfill that role, and also that crucially, it has to keep being a very nice place to live for its minions. Like, they want good schools, they want good roads, they want, maybe not for you, but they do want like a nice private school. The road to Eton should be well paved, and there should be, I don't know, very fancy vegetables on sale somewhere. Like, it should be like that. So I think that's like component one. The second one, like the
gentrify UK.
Yes, gentrify UK, exactly. And then like with a ring of servants and bee windowsill cleaners living on the outskirts in dismal poverty, but there needs to be. It needs to sort of Britain needs to be on a very base level, needs to keep taking over. And then I think...
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, the Team City Finance people are not afraid whatsoever of, like, papering over the cracks in society with the culture war psycho shit.
No, they're not. But I think they are also the people who are, like, more or less amenable to something like leveling up. Because I think, it's like if you remember like how the bond markets reacted to like Liz Truss's fucking free market insanity, they were like, actually, no, we want there to be a state to some level. And I think, those people, like the international finance people, at heart, at root, they do see themselves as the meritocracy. So like they'll get in bed with the culture warriors, but they can't be the culture warriors because they're not. They're not emotionally capable of that kind of like violence. Essentially, they're not.
It's Arnie and Carl Weathers doing the handshake, right?
Yeah. So like that's sort of the second component. Like it's the culture war rage crew. So like Suella Braverman, and of course the new fucking vice chair of the Tory party, that Lee Anderson cunt. I know everybody's been calling him 30p Lee already, but that is kind of the point. And also I forgot about this, but he also challenged Steve Bray, that fucking weird Remain guy, to a boxing match.
Oh, the guy outside Parliament.
I
hope Steve Bray accepted.
They have a very sportsmanlike contest.
But like he's basically as close enough as like the Tory is to just having an outright white nationalist GB News character.
I mean.
I disagree with your assessment of the gentleman, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
I mean, he's not quite that fucking middle class reject cunt who's running that far right group that did the demos last week.
Oh, who notorious
BIG fan?
Mark Collett, is that who you're talking about there?
Yeah, I didn't know his name.
No, but like there are fucking photos of like Lee Anderson palling around with a bunch of like fucking just open white supremacists from his constituency.
All right,
Who
well,
They're
name
keyed up
drops.
BNPs, aren't they?
Yeah, name drops them like regularly on fucking Facebook as good lads.
all right. I
Like,
did
one
not
of them's
know
got
that,
some
but that
absolutely
also...
fucking ridiculous name like Flimsy Steve or some shit.
And I think like the bet of like that guy and the others, Suella Braverman, is essentially like the bet is that I hate the term red wall, but whatever, like that the people who voted Tory for the first time in like 2019 really voted for them because of racism and like cultural values rather than anything material at all. And I think they just think if we just lean harder I think today he even just said out loud that like the 2024 election should be fought on culture wars. So, you know, but like that will be enough, that you can get enough people over the line and animated to pull the Tories over the line by like just genuinely going insane against these people. And they're also like the main sort of Tory front against what I think is a very overhyped thing, like the Reform Party, you know, that Richard Tice thing, previously UKIP. Because like the Telegraph keeps telling you that they're like on the verge of breaking through. I don't.
Yeah,
they're
they're one putsch away from electoral relevance.
Exactly. And like the third component being like the hardcore, the markets must be free. They are not free. Actually, there's, evil people hiding in the treasury, and there's evil people hiding in the treasury. There's more evil people hiding in the IMF. And if only the market could be finally set free, we would all be living in incredible wonderland. This is the Liz Truss thing. That's why the Liz Truss thing was also such a fucking disaster. I read that piece she wrote for the Telegraph saying the reason my agenda failed was essentially because of woke mobs in the bond market, which is just like a wild fucking...
Too many communists in the city of London. We hate to hear it.
Exactly. So basically, like, their theory is that since the 2008, since the Great Financial Crisis, the Tories have never actually done a fully free market economy, because there was also always like, bailouts needed to happen, and then everybody got corona.
It's so fucking ludicrous. Like, a fully free market, a perfectly smooth orb moving around in a frictionless environment. That is what we should aim to achieve. This, like, even on its own terms, just idyllic place that is just completely impossible when it comes into contact with reality.
Yeah, but it's genuine, it's the joke that enough people make, true communism has never been tried and that's why it's always failed. It's literally that, but the reverse. Like, it's, you hear
that, Liz Truss, you're like the worst tanky you've ever heard.
Imagine David having to share a tank with Liz Truss.
Well, you don't know. He might have been in that tank where she had that photo shoot.
So basically, like, I think all these three have so far, like, the city finance people, the culture warriors, and like the free market lunatics, have sort of managed to coexist under the same roof with the other two factions, essentially. And I think a lot of the cracks that were already in the Tory party were sort of papered over by the Boris majority and by the whole Brexit thing, because everybody, like, all these three groups could agree on the Brexit position. Because I think the team finance saw it as like, all right, we'll just, we can become Singapore, British Virgin Island on Thames, and we can just become like a massive, even more of a massive tax haven than Britain already is. I mean, the culture warriors need no explaining, and the free marketeers could get out of, the balmy Brussels bureaucrats with all their stupid rules, blah, blah, blah. That's a fairly, good way of looking at it. But, like, I think now that it does look like the Tory experiment is really just grinding to a halt. I think, again, nothing to do with Labour, right? It's just...
Oh, the press have had enough.
This thing has just run out of road.
Yeah, the press have just said, no, it's that's enough, thanks. Like, now that the Labour Party is basically just grafted itself onto the arse cheek of the fucking Tory party, we're gonna let them give it a go and let them have a sit behind the big chair. Like, yeah, fuck it. Why not?
I think it's also like apart from that, which is definitely part of it. Like, I think it's that the economic circumstances which created this version of the Tory party, and they have been better at reinventing themselves than anyone. Like, it is truly fucking incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean, like fucking Labour trying to relitigate 1997 of all fucking things, an era that is an economic era that is completely synonymous with 2023, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I also think that like the Tory party would already have run out of road earlier had it not been for Brexit, because I think that gave them like a completely new lease on life. Yeah,
Brexit just breathed life into the Tory party. I mean, it is. I know it like counterfactual is a fucking a dime a dozen.
Yeah,
but like, what would the political landscape have been like if in 2016 it had come back Remain and Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party? Because it is. I mean, then you remove like a whole wedge issue that the fucking Labour right wanted to use, and then Tories are like tearing themselves apart over this thing still. But like,
so like I do think that there's like so basically if they all run out of road, right? But like what I can't see, if you sort of, let's assume for now that they do lose the next election, and it's not like a small failure, but it's like a large scale failure. Like the one thing I can't really see is like them reinventing, what Cameron did. Like, because when Tony Blair came in, they first tried Michael Howard, Ian Duncan Smith, like they tried a whole series of losers who were essentially part of a inter-Tory squabble. But I can't see this version of the Tory party like finding another like David Cameron, when he did the whole hug a hoodie, hug a husky, you can be a nice liberal middle class person and still vote Tory just because you like your tax cuts in your house. Like, I can't see these people going back there. I don't know. I don't know if either of you guys can.
Absolutely not. They're once they've done the free market fanatic guy. They've done Team City Finance guy, and what's up next? Well, it's Culture War Psycho time. Kemi Badenoch being a good example of this. People constantly blowing smoke up her ass about how she's a rising star, but never quite explaining why. Very interesting. So
she's transphobic as fuck.
I mean, yes, indeed.
Yes.
And this is going to be the next big fucking drum that's going to be beaten very regretfully for
but
every person who knows a person that's trans and trans people.
But I mean, I know like the UK is a vile and disgusting pig of a country with a lot of vile and disgusting pig inhabitants, but like I still can't see enough like sort of nice middle class Shire Tories who just like tax cuts to go completely insane, like this level of culture war insane.
I mean, whether or not it's electorally successful,
I think they're out there in big numbers, but I don't. Like, are there enough of them?
I mean, if they are, say the polling's right, say it is a fucking absolute wipeout for the Tories. They're at 100 seats or less or whatever. Like, you are going to be left with like a rump of the absolute worst of the fucking Tories.
Yes.
And they are going to be the utter psychos, the people who chew dogs to death in the morning just to feel something. And they will try anything to try and ingratiate themselves back to the public. And what does that mean? That means tacking further right. That means beating the drum on culture war issues even more, because they'll have, currently we are currently at a point where the papers are saying that Labour are like the party of low tax, which is just like deeply cursed in itself. And like the Tories are going to have one thing left. They are going to just push. Well, Labour are going to chase them, because that's what the fucking Labour right do. They chase whatever the fucking Tories are doing, even if they're in government. So they're going to tack to the right on social issues as well. So we get this nice self-repeating cycle of which we have already seen over the last 20 years, 25 years of just further rightward leaning. Great. We love
Yeah,
to see
but
it.
I think it's definitely possible. But I'm just like, does the, I don't think the Labour that gives like the Labour Party like a sort of license to run the country forever. But like, they have to. But then again, I genuinely don't think there's enough. I think there's a lot of people you could drive insane in this country, and I think like the economic circumstances are essentially very ripe for a return to fascism. But like, I don't know if there's like enough of these weirdos or not. Like, can you get a swing voter or whoever out the door with this shit? I really wonder if you can.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you consider how fucking low turnout's going to be for the next election. And then,
that's true.
Like, you get that turnout low enough, and fucking anything is plausible. Anything like
sort of like a Republican, like a U.S. Republican scenario where you just like you make voting as difficult as possible, and then you get like your psychos to turn out.
I mean, we've already got the IDs at polling stations. Shit,
yeah, the ID card thing. Yeah.
So like, and like, obviously, Labour are never going to run any kind of campaign that could be even in the same room as the word "inspiring." So it's just going to be like regression to the mean. Fuck off if you have ever voted for us in the past, unless you're a Tory, in which case we want you back. Like, and like the Tories will absolutely be able to capitalise on that.
And I do think that like you, much like the US Democrats, right? Labour also won't dismantle the voter ID, that kind of thing. Like they'll just leave that in place because they don't think it's important enough, or they're too terrified of like the fucking Telegraph to actually get people back into voting. Like I don't think Labour would do that because they don't think it's important enough. Like getting more fucking McKinsey consultants into the NHS is probably more important enough. But then I think the others, like that's like the culture war thing. But like I don't think there's enough people who like the finance industry as is. Like, they can run a lot of ad campaigns. They have a lot of money, but like does anybody like, you can't go to the. I hate these words, but like you can't go on the doorstep, I think, selling the UK as a finance capital. Like even I think a lot of the buzzwords that worked around like that worked 10 years ago. And I think after 2008, I think nobody's going to say like, oh yeah, we need a more competitive Britain. Like I don't think that's a thing that's enough. But then I also don't really think there's not enough like Liz Truss freaks around. Like, the people who just have like who just go around with a megaphone screaming a road to serfdom at people. Because that's a real minority, those people. Like they're super strong in the Tory party, but who the fuck gives a shit about whether or not the markets are free enough right now?
Really weird move by the Conservative campaign this election, where they're putting copies of Atlas Shrugged through their constituents' door.
Essentially, yeah. And one thing I was thinking about sort of in the context of that stupid Seb Payne piece we read 2 weeks ago, which I'm going to try to talk about without getting fucking angry, is like, I don't think any of these three groups want to do like leveling up anymore. I mean, I know it was always a scam, but like, I can't see any of these people being like, oh, actually,
I mean,
you might not like our...
They're just, they're just like, I just don't want to talk about that anymore, Like, they're just like, no, it's had its moment in the sun, I just don't want to talk about that. And that
Yeah, but like you could see like some kind of literal national socialism where they just say, look, we want to burn trans people in the village square, but you're also going to get a library out of it. Like I think British people are insane enough to vote for that, but like I can't even see them like offering the library, if you will.
Yeah, no, I was about to say the most unbelievable part of that is the fact that you'd get a library in return.
Exactly. So, like, I don't know. Like, I just, overall, like, if you look at it, it's just sort of being fash light and just talking about immigration and trans people, like, enough to bolt the Tory party back together again. Once it, assuming it does what does look to be on the cards. Let's put it that way. I don't know. It's a question. If you have any,
I don't know. It's just,
I mean, I don't care. Like, I hope these people lose and fuck them. You know, like
it's very hard to feel strongly one way or the other because, like, obviously the Tories lose and then Labour get in, and then that creates an entire fucking story of how obviously the left in this country can never win, and like, not that Labour was ever, like, as we saw, like, Labour can never be realistically a vehicle for socialism in this country. But, like, it's just going to allow the worst fucking people you know to craft this story that the left can never win. It can only ever be won from, you know, the centre ground by moderates or whatever, with big scare quotes around all of that shit. While we,
but does that matter anymore?
Sorry?
Like, does that matter anymore? They're never going to fucking allow a left-wing Labour Party ever again, so let them fucking have that. The only real like fucking issue there is it's just they're going to be fucking insufferable. But
I mean, that's pretty annoying, to be fair.
That is like how they are now anyway. So who gives a shit? Like, if you fucking run into these cunts on Twitter now, they'll tell you that you can only win from the fucking centre, and that like Tony Blair's the only Labour leader ever to have won an election in all of human history, and that's why we need to fucking get him back. And so, you know, like, as far as they're all concerned, the 2017 election never happened, or if it did, it was like the idea that we were close to victory is like a lie. So who gives a shit? You know, we call them cunts now, we'll call them cunts then. It doesn't really fucking matter to me. It's not like that. It's not like there's ever any realistic chance of ever bringing the Labour Party back to the left, or having it like realistically support the interests of like the fucking lower classes ever again. So fuck them. They can do what they want.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if let's move towards wrapping this up anyway. I do think theoretically you might, in all this shit, like if the Tory party goes completely fucking insane and just becomes the culture war lunatics, and Labour chases them to like the centre ground and essentially becomes the new Tories, I don't know. Maybe there is some room then on the left when Labour finally fucks off, and when people start thinking they can re-influence Labour back together again. So, you know, maybe there is something there. Who the fuck knows? And otherwise, whatever. It's the world is so fucking weird, and it keeps getting weirder by the day. So, you know, who knows?
I mean, assuming Labour do win like this insane landslide victory, it just means that they'll be able to pass up themselves. So, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think on that point, that will do us for this very lovely Valentine's edition. For us, not for you.
Valentine's Day recording to talk about the love of our lives, the Labour Party.
Yes, and the Conservative Party, and water companies. It's really sort of a polycule affair today. Anyway, so I think that will do us for yet another episode. I'm going to skip doing the usual plugs and things for ourselves because we decided not to talk about the disgusting murder of Brianna Gay because we didn't know what we would add to the conversation. Honestly, like, we didn't know what we could say that hasn't been said by other voices who have said it much better than us, and also because some things are just, even for this podcast, too depressing to talk about. But what we will do, instead of our usual begging bowl, we will put a link in the show description. Her family has a confirmed GoFundMe. It is the real deal. It's not somebody scamming you. If you want to donate some pennies there, you definitely can. Otherwise, mermaids is always good. Gendered intelligence is always good. Just do what you can, because it's just been fucking horrendous. So find that in the show notes, and then we will forgo our usual Patreon bullshit. And with that, we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Yep. See ya.
Bye-bye.